A lot of professionals want to become a PMP, and it's easy to see why. If you are wondering how to get certified, make sure to stick around until the end of this video. I will guide you through each step in a simple and clear way. And if you are especially curious about how much the whole process costs from start to finish, you'll definitely want to watch all the way through. But before we get started, let me quickly tell you who I am. My name is Sabri C, and I've been teaching project management for many years. My PMP exam prep course on Udemy has helped thousands of students pass their exams. In fact, it's one of the top selling PMP courses on Udemy around the world. A few years ago, I made a big decision. I wanted to move to my dream city, Izmir. To do that, I had to leave my own business and hand it over to my partner. When I arrived in Izmir, I thought the hardest part was over. But actually, my real career struggle was just beginning. I started applying to big companies, sending out resume after resume, sometimes 5 a day, sometimes 10. But most of the time, there wasn't even a reply. Not a single interview, just silence. Days turned into weeks, and I started questioning everything. Was I not good enough? Had I made a mistake leaving my old life behind? Then, one day, completely by chance, I had a conversation with someone who had a PMP certification. He told me how that one decision, getting PMP certified, opened doors he never imagined. He said the certificate didn't just boost my resume, it gave me a whole new direction. And in that moment, I knew what I had to do. I started doing my research. The more I learned, the more I believed this was what I needed. I began studying hard. It wasn't easy, but I passed the PMP exam. After that, I applied to several international companies. This time, all three of them invited me for interviews. And guess what? I got job offers from all three with great salaries. The only thing I had to do was choose which one I wanted most. This is the power of PMP. Now, let me guide you through everything you need to know about the PMP exam. How to apply, how much it costs, what the eligibility requirements are, how to prepare effectively, and what the exam actually looks like. By the end of this video, you will feel confident to start your PMP journey and finally unlock the career opportunities this powerful certification can bring. Let's start with PMP. What is PMP? PMP is the abbreviation for Project Management Professional. It is a certification provided by the Project Management Institute, and it is one of the most valuable project management certifications in the world. To become a PMP, you should follow 5 steps. The first step is that you should sign up for and complete a 35-hour project management course. This is a requirement to apply for the exam, and you cannot apply for the exam without completing this 35-hour course. My course on Udemy satisfies this requirement, and therefore, after completing this course, you can go to the second step and apply for the exam. To apply for the exam, you need to meet the exam requirements. I will talk about these requirements in a few minutes, so let's skip them for now. The application is an online process. You should go to www.pmi.org and apply for the exam there. You will be filling out an application form and submitting it online. Filling out the application form is an important step, and if you do it wrong, your application might get rejected. Since this is an important process, I will create another video to explain how you should fill out the application form for the PMP exam. After you submit your application, PMI will review it. They will read the information you provided, and if your application meets the requirements, it will be approved. This approval process usually takes around 3 to 5 business days. Sometimes your application may be audited. PMI says that after submitting your application form, you may be audited at any time, even after you become a PMP. But based on my experience, most of the time, if you are selected for an audit, you will get a notification email right after you click the submit button under the application form. In other words, if you don't get a notification email saying that you've been selected for an audit within a few minutes of submitting your application, then most probably you won't be audited later. If you get selected for an audit, PMI will ask you to prove the details you wrote in your application. This means you'll need to send them some documents to show that everything you shared is true. I'll make another video soon explaining the audit process step by step. If you don't want to miss it, just hit subscribe and turn on the notifications. Once your exam application is approved by PMI, you can schedule your exam. Please note that you need to take the exam within 1 year after your application is approved. PMI calls this 1 year period the exam eligibility period. In other words, the time during which you are allowed to take the exam is 1 year. But what happens if you don't pass the exam on the first try? Or what if you don't pass on the second try? The good news is you can take the exam up to 3 times during the exam eligibility period. But of course, you will need to pay for each attempt. However, if you are unable to pass the exam within this 1 year eligibility period, you will have to wait at least 1 full year before you can reapply and take the exam again. So it's important to plan your attempts carefully. After you schedule your examination, you'll need to study hard and take and pass the exam. This is the final step you should follow. Once you pass the exam, you will earn your PMP certification. The PMP exam is known as one of the toughest project management exams out there, and you really need to study seriously to pass it. But don't worry, I've got you covered. In my 35-hour course, I break everything down in a simple, clear, and detailed way to help make this journey easier for you. You can join the course using the link below this video. Alright, a few minutes ago, when I talked about the second step, I said I would explain the requirements to apply for the PMP exam. So let's go over that now. To apply for the PMP exam, there are a few requirements you need to meet. First, you must have completed 35 hours of project management education. This is required for everyone, no matter your background. The only exception is if you already hold a CAPM certification, then you don't need to take any additional courses to apply for the PMP exam. But keep in mind, your CAPM certificate must be active, not expired, and it should still be valid at the time you apply. Then, depending on your education level, the experience requirements changes. If you have a high school diploma, an associate's degree or the global equivalent, you will need at least 6 months of project management experience. This experience must be unique and non-overlapping, and it should fall within the last 8 years. Now, what do we mean by non-overlapping? Let's say you worked on 2 projects at the same time for 3 months. That still counts as 3 months, not 6. Or maybe you juggled 3 projects at once for 1 month. That's still just 1 month of experience. I think you get the picture. If you hold a 4-year degree like a bachelor's degree or its global equivalent, the requirement is a bit lighter. You need 36 months of unique, non-overlapping project management experience, also within the last 8 years. So, if you've got the education, the experience, and the 35 hours of training, you are ready to apply and take the next step toward becoming a PMP. Alright, now let's talk about the cost of the PMP exam because I know many of you are wondering how much is this whole thing going to set me back? Well, here's the thing. The exam fee isn't the same for everyone. It depends on which country you are in. In many countries, if you're not a PMI member, the exam fee is $655. But in some others, it might be around $575 or even $675. So, yes, the price varies based on where you live. Now, if you become a PMI member first, you get a discount. In some places, members pay $405 to take the exam, while in other regions it could be $324 or $425. Again, it depends on your location. So, the best thing to do is this. When you are ready to apply, go to PMI's official website, log into your account, and check the exact price for your country. That way, you'll know the real cost with no surprises. Now, should you become a PMI member before applying? Well, you don't have to, but it might save you money. PMI membership cost also depends on your location. It might be between $144 and $164. So, if we add the membership fee and the discounted exam fee, the total comes out to around $468 to $589 plus taxes. Once you are a member, you not only get the exam discount, but you can also download the Pinback guide and the Agile practice guide for free. If you are not a member, you'll have to buy them, and they usually cost around $80 to $90. So, long story short, if you become a PMI member first and then apply for the exam, you could save around $170 to $200 depending on your location. As a result, although it's not mandatory to become a PMI member to take the PMP exam, I strongly recommend becoming a member first and then applying because it's much more cost effective. Alright, now let's talk about the passing score. What is the passing score for the PMP exam? Well, there isn't an official passing score for the PMP exam. Let me explain. There is a question pool. This pool contains all possible exam questions. Some are difficult, some are easy, and some are moderate. Just before your exam starts, the system randomly selects 180 questions from this pool, and you will need to answer all 180 questions in 230 minutes. If most of the questions you get are difficult, then you may only need to score around 60 to 65% to pass. If you get mostly moderate questions, then you may need to score 65% to 70%. And finally, if most of your questions are easy, then you might need a score of around 70 to 75% to pass. Please note that these are not official scores shared by PMI. These are approximate values we have estimated based on feedback from thousands of our students. PMI never discloses any official passing score for the PMP exam. Now, let's discuss the last question. How much does it cost to study for the exam? We are not talking about the PMP exam fee here. We will talk about the cost of the training you take, the book you may need to purchase, and so on. First of all, as I said a few minutes ago, you need to complete a 35-hour project management course to apply for the exam. This is one of the exam requirements. And here you have several options. Your first option is joining a classroom training. Classroom training prices vary by location. In countries like the United States and Canada, you can enroll in a classroom training program for around $1,000 to $3,000. You may find cheaper or more expensive options depending on the country you live in. Your second option is enrolling in a live online course. Live English language courses usually cost around $1,000 to $2,000. Again, you may find cheaper or more expensive options depending on the language of the course. Your third option is purchasing a self-paced online course. These are pre-recorded courses that you can watch whenever you have time. The price of an English self-paced course can go up to $600. If these prices seem high, don't worry. Our bestseller self-paced online course on Udemy is much more affordable than those prices. Just click the link below for more information and you will see what I mean. Thousands of students have already passed their exams by using this course and you can benefit from it too. When you start studying for the exam, you may want to get the PMBOK guide and the Agile practice guide. As I mentioned earlier, if you are a PMI member, you can download these books for free. Otherwise, they will cost you around $80 to $90. If you want to buy an additional study book, it may cost you around $30 to $60. But please keep in mind, if the course you take is good enough, you won't need any extra books. You won't even need the PMBOK guide. So if you enroll in our course, you won't need to buy any additional study materials. Finally, to pass the exam, you need to practice as many questions as possible from different sources. This is the key to success. There are many options online. Some sources offer free questions while others charge up to $300. As a result, preparing for the PMP exam can cost anywhere from a few dollars to a few $1,000s, depending on your choices. Alright, that's it for now. If you liked this video, don't forget to click the like button below. And to make sure you don't miss any future videos about PMP certification, just subscribe to this channel. See you in the next PMP video. Thanks for watching.